Being naive like a child again is exactly what you've been looking for your entire life. Because I know you missed your childhood and thought that things were better back then, and you are right, they were. Because you were curious, innocent, pure, experimental, not afraid to make mistakes, didn't give a fuck what others thought about you. Everything seemed easier and more exciting. And now burdens of life has piled onto you and you wish to escape it. However, if you want to solve any kind of pain, first you gotta start at the roots. So, what the fuck happened? Why did you stop being childlike? First, we have to speak about survival. Survival is the most important thing to a living being. It will do anything to survive. Kill, betray, lie, manipulate, put others down. Even if it means harming your well-being, like cutting off your arm to survive, it will do it. That's the obvious part, but not so obvious is any pain or discomfort will be pushed away, rejected, so you could have a better chance at survival. Anything to make your situation better. That's why pleasure and comfort are so tantalizing. That's why humanity wants to improve so much, because improvement/adaptations equal better survival chance. Anyway, I want to focus on it will do anything and everything to survive, even if it means harming your well-being part. That also goes for the emotional stuff. That's why the body gets depressed, stressed, anxious, paranoid, because it puts these mechanisms in order for you to survive. Well, depression shuts you down from life because life was too painful to live. So if you don't interact with it, you don't have to feel anything. Anxious? You're trying to predict or prepare for an upcoming thing with overthinking or stress, so you could have a better survival chance. So how does killing your inner child, curiosity, childlike behavior helps you to survive? Because as you live, you pick up painful experiences. And those teach you negative things that run in the background without you knowing it. Your joy is buried by painful lessons. There is no room for childlike behavior anymore. Your first breakup, your first rejection, your first failed crush, first betrayal has taught you that love is dangerous, and attaching yourself very deeply to anyone or anything is dangerous. So now being completely obsessed with something or being completely invested in something is scary. Now you don't trust people, you don't accept compliments, you hide yourself, you become a loner, you don't open up. You like this thing? Good. But now try expressing it in front of somebody who might not like it. You can't? Well, because you're afraid to be hurt. And for you to fear anything, first you have to experience it. Parents always telling you not to run off, not to climb, not to crawl, not to be loud. That shows the child that it's not okay to be that way. People don't like it. People don't like when you do that. Your innocence, your curiosity, your voice becomes a wrong thing. Why? Well, as a child, you depend on others to survive. So what does your brain do? It adapts and shuts that shit off and labels it as bad. However, recognize why parents do that. Why do they put you down in a way? Because they're afraid of judgment themselves. When their child is screaming and singing and being annoying and crawling and being impolite, well, they're afraid to be judged as a bad parent. Or when you ask too many questions as a child, Mommy, why the sky is blue? Why the grass is green? Why the cow goes moo? Your parents politely tell you to shut the fuck up because they're afraid to look dumb or be overwhelmed by everything you're asking, by their partner saying some shit that you left dishes in the sink, and by their boss telling that you should work harder. They're afraid to be overwhelmed. They're also trying to preserve themselves. And they're also trying to survive. So we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to survive. And do you think they were encouraged to be a child? They were not. Like I said, first you gotta experience something to be afraid or be pained by that thing. So what can you do about it? First, recognize that there is a pain inside of you controlling you in the background. any limit, any fear, any negative behavior that you're doing comes from pain. Life is not exciting anymore because of all the pain you're carrying. Makes it seem that life is a minefield and not a sandbox to run around and play in. So you have to calm down your survival sense, flight or flight response. It's unnecessary. You're not being hunted by animals. You're just afraid to be rejected or not loved. You experience pain because you cared so much about yourself. So try letting go. Stop taking yourself so seriously. It seems like the world is over when you get your heart broken for the first time. But does the moon care? But does the stars care? Does everything stop spinning, running, functioning when something that painful happens to you? It's not that important in the grand scheme of things. However, that does not mean that you should just ignore the pain. Quite opposite. You will have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So why not make it into a good experience? So I invite you to question things. Go where it hurts the most. Go for the big and scary thoughts, for the big and scary feelings. Explore. Ask questions. Understand why does it hurt so much? What did that painful experience teach you? What kind of beliefs did you form in your head in order to survive? Another important tip or insight is that your ego, aka you, aka your identity, will always try to seek control. Because then you will have a better chance at survival since everything is up to you and you can control yourself the most. So if something happened that wasn't your fault but hurt deeply, your ego will still make the whole thing about itself since it can't just let that situation happen twice. So it takes control, saying, yeah, this happened because of me. I should change so this never happens again. Example, people treat you like shit because they're jealous, because they're incapable of love. They experience massive amount of pain themselves, and now you just happen to be there, so they take their pain out on you. Yet you say, why did they treat me this way? Well, it must be because I'm not good enough. So be careful. Next thing is, when you encounter deep pain for the first time, especially if it has anything to do with another person, make sure that you didn't tell yourself, how could I be so stupid? How could I invested myself so deeply? Of course, child might not articulate it that well, but see if you said something along those lines. Because if you have, then nowadays you're trying to be a smartass. You're always trying to be correct. You're always trying to be right. You're cold. You're too skeptical. You're numb. You're detached. You reject others before they can reject you. Look out for that. And lastly, you are surrounded by people who have killed their inner child, and they will help you to kill yours too. So be careful once you become naive again. And that's it. I hope you heal and live a good life. See you soon.